We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Time now is 1:10 p.m. Happy New Year, everyone, to our January 4, 2025 public meeting of the 14th Police District Council. Go ahead and take attendance. We have Council Vargas.
Present.
And Council Orlikoff. And I am Council Laurent. We do have a quorum, so we can continue. All right. Pretty much the main item that we've got going on today is approval of minutes from previous meetings. If you are aware, we have yet to vote on our October minutes and our December minutes, and we didn't have an official meeting in November. So we've got minutes here. You've got, looks like October in front of you. I'll let you take a few moments to look through that. And if there's any edits, please bring them up to me and I will make those changes and we can push those through.
Is there copies of those minutes on
Once they're approved, within 10 days, or they're published to that website, that same website that we talked about.
It looks good.
Okay.
October looks good to me.
Okay, with no objections, since we are only two of us, we can't really put the whole motion and second in. So if there are no objections, we can pass by unanimous consent. Any objections to the October 2024 minutes? None heard, so they are passed as approved. Thank you very much, and we'll move on into the December meeting minutes, which we have furnished in front of you. I've taken the liberty of taking a look at them already. They seem okay to me, but I want to extend the same courtesy to you.
It looks good.
All right, so just as our October minutes, if there are no objections, we'll pass them in unanimous consent. And I hear no objections, so they are approved as submitted. Thank you very much.
Was that for November?
That was, no, we had no November meeting.
I mean, yeah, for December.
That was December, yes.
Did you add like my my statement?
Yes. There. I read it verbatim.
Beautiful, thank you. It looks good.
All right, so no objections, we'll go ahead and pass those by unanimous consent into the approved pile. And those, like I said, those will be published on our website within 10 days. That's the normal protocol there. So, all right, we're gonna change the dynamic a little bit today. It looks like we're waiting on a few people to show up for attendance. So we're gonna hold off on the public comment until later on in there, but trust me, there will be an opportunity for public comments. Let's see, we've got the roll call. All right, member updates. Council Vargas, do you have any updates you'd like to share with us?
Sure. So, as I stated in December, there was a situation where an elderly man was denied his right to a police report 2 times when he went to the district. And when myself and my colleague Beth Rochford from the 17th district went to help the gentleman out to get a police report, there was a situation with the desk sergeant who came out yelling at us very disrespectfully and accusing us of falsely of antagonizing the police when we were there just to help this gentleman get a police report. So my colleague helped us, she took initiative and made a COPA complaint. And that COPA complaint went on to BIA, the Bureau of Internal Affairs, and I had my interview with them yesterday. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. So that's one. And then the other is that I do apologize for missing 2 meetings. You know, I had a family emergency and then I had to be out of town for December. But in November, I did attend a People's Town Hall held by community leaders, and it was very wonderful to see just the community determination to hold police accountable and for public safety, essentially to get rid of extremism in CPD. And I just want to say that that because of that community push, the community leaders met with the mayor's office, and the mayor's office affirmed that they're in the process of constructing the task force to rid extremism in NCPD. So thank you so much for that public push. I'm very proud of us. And then for the West Side, for nominations, we nominated 2 people, and they have 30 days to, the mayor's office has 30 days to pick a commissioner. So we nominated 2 people for the West Side lawyer position, and his 30 days are up, and he should be making a decision on Monday. Yeah, hopefully. I'm really excited about the people we chose, and yeah. For what else? For restorative justice, I attended a restorative justice court. They hosted restorative justice court for youth between ages 18 and 26 at the St. Hyacinth Church. And it was really interesting to see just how a judge can take time and get to know a person and see them as multidimensional and not just solely based on their mistakes. So it was a great experience. They do it every Friday at 11 a.m. If anyone is interested, reach out to me and I can connect you with the people that work at the Restorative Justice Court. There was community partners who partner with the individual people, the participants. They go through anger management classes, vocational training, and it's just like a holistic process for reintegration. So that was great to see. And I think, oh yeah, I have a commander meeting on January 21st at 1 p.m. I was thinking about inviting 2 people to come with me, one for note-taking and another one to take lead, if they're interested. So I know we have not a usual, because of the holidays, we're missing some folks, but if anyone's interested in the room now who want to join me on January 21st, I'd be taking volunteers. I'd be willing to have volunteers. You want to come with me, Sally?
Sure.
Wonderful. We can, well, I didn't talk about the process, excuse me. So the process would be, so we meet January 21st at 1 p.m. at the district. It should be about a 30-minute meeting. That's usually the time I meet with her. And we bring up what's discussed at the council, in the district council, at the public meetings. But if you're willing, we can meet maybe 30 minutes via Zoom, in person for coffee, that same week, just to kind of plan out our meeting with the commander. And then just a debrief session for next February meeting. So it'd be maybe a commitment of about 2 hours with me. So I'll see you, I'll stay in touch with you, Sally.
Great.
Yeah. So wonderful, that's that. Do you have any updates?
Yes, absolutely. I just didn't want to cut you off. I thought I know you had a lot of catching up on, and I didn't want to deny you the
Thank
ability
you.
to clue us all in on all the good work you've been doing. Couple of items of note, as many are aware, I put a lot of focus on the public safety aspect of things. And I think it's just as important as the accountability items that my colleagues bring to the table as well. Shortly before the holiday, there was a business burglary, where both the large plate glass windows were smashed out at Ipcento 606. The proximity to our previous meeting, I'm not trying to draw any kind of tie together, but it's within 2 blocks of where we last met. So it's in our main corridor, commercial corridor. It's a small business, and I think that we need to be a little bit more cognizant. And if you see something, say something, that sort of thing. And like, you don't have to get along with people, understand everything that they're about, but just know that we have resources available to mitigate those things. So aside from that, I did take to heart a lot of requests from last month, about having the commander come out and meet. I did send an invite to her the very next day, to which she said, hey, look, you know, I told her, I said, hey, look, they're gonna want a data person, somebody can sit there and extrapolate the data, make it make sense, and, some other items. I can't recall directly what those other items were. As I mentioned to my colleague earlier, I can share that email exchange with her. But I wanted to prepare to where she was gonna have a high value presence in this meeting. 2 days ago, she reached back out to me, saying, hey, I can't get my data person, we'll have to try next month. So that being said, we tentatively have Commander Linus coming to join us at our next meeting at the Humboldt Park Library, with those people, that subject matter experts, to assist her in providing the answers that everybody's looking for. Aside from that, I am all done with my updates.
Question, can I ask a question?
Certainly.
Of course.
Will there be a Q&A during that meeting?
We can accommodate that.
Okay, cool, thanks.
You said Humboldt Park.
Yes.
When is the meeting?
February 1.
I thought, Humboldt Park will be closed then, right, Anna?
It's okay, we're gonna figure it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tentatively,
All right.
as of right now, it's
And-
scheduled for
Well, I
Humboldt Park.
just,
Chris will be
Subject
sure
to
to send
change.
an email out to everyone.
I just,
Absolutely.
okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't
We
gonna.
don't have a
Absolutely.
new location, so I think it's still fair to say.
And I'll bring it up again at the adjournment of the meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Humboldt Park Library at 1 PM on February 1. Temple, possibly, more than likely gonna be a change to that, so be mindful. All right, okay, we'll move into discussions. You wanna talk about police accountability?
I think I updated it.
Right.
I talked about accountability in my,
Right, in your updates.
in my
I
updates,
didn't know if there was anything
just to
external to that.
debrief, you know, meeting with BIA currently to hold the desk sergeant accountable. If y'all remember a year ago, we had the same issue with the desk sergeant then, Mary Martin, whose COPA complaints were sustained. So we clearly have an issue in the 14th district. We clearly still have an oath keeper. And there's still work to be done to hold the commander accountable of her staff and police accountable in general. Yeah, thank you. Oh, and then, quick question, of course.
Yeah, if you make a complaint to COPA, is it standard for them to send that complaint to BIA?
So they have some things that COPA takes on, but majority of them go to BIA. There's some things that COPA will investigate, and then the rest goes to the Bureau of Internal Affairs. And speaking of that, we can have COPA come to one of our public meetings to kind of get clarity on what they take on.
That would be really useful to have them come
Okay.
to a presentation.
That'd
I'd
be
like to
awesome.
understand better. You know, I filed a COPA complaint last year, and it was about Nowaki, and it was sent to BIA.
To BIA.
Clearly. I'm just curious what they cover, when they send stuff on, how that works.
We can get a COPA representative here.
Yeah,
Sure.
that would be good. Sorry to interrupt your flow.
I just are welcome. No worries. If the commander agrees to come next meeting, then we can have a COPA representative in March.
Sounds great.
Hi, welcome. These are my colleagues.
Our colleagues.
Our excuse me. So
All right,
that
and,
was kind of my update.
okay, well, and I'm just making certain that we're hitting all the wickets with the discussions. Thank you for that update as well. Restorative justice, I know you talked about the restorative justice courts
Yes,
system, which I'm also familiar with. I think they do great work out there. And I think you're absolutely right. I think part of the dynamic that we need to shift gears into the public discussion, I should say, as far as how the justice system works. I think that should be a model to where the judges that are adjudicating criminal case issues, sit there and take the time to get to know who they're addressing as well, because everyone's expected to know who the judge is and what they tolerate and everything like that, and their rules of the court. And I think that it should, be in good practice for the attorneys that represent and the judges that adjudicate the matters to get a little bit more familiar with the lives that they're impacting. So I think it's a great model, and I think that's what part of the impetus that the Chief Justice was trying to accomplish with these. I think he's making great headway.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, we can get the Restorative Justice Court to come present here.
That'd be great.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add that they do, recruit community members to be part of, peace circles. So they're always looking for volunteers. And since it's relatively close to the area, I would definitely recommend having, the court, person come out. Margaret, she recently came to the 17th district meeting and, was trying to recruit volunteers for the court. So I would recommend it.
And I would just add that the Juvenile Justice Advisory Council does a lot of work with the restorative justice courts and restorative justice in general, especially with youth.
Thank you.
All right, evidence-based policing, and approaches to community safety. Papers on that one.
Yeah.
That door.
Yes.
All right, do you have anything for evidence-based approaches to community safety?
No.
I mean, I think that, like what we just talked about, and I'm not gonna, and when I say ad nauseum, I'm not saying that we haven't talked about, we talked to death, but I think that a lot of good resources have been shared. And I think that, part of the evidence-based, approaches to community safety starts with the restorative justice courts and exercising that practice.
Oh yeah, the other thing for evidence-based policing, we all know that traffic stops kind of take up a lot of our resources, and we need police to be active in answering 911 calls rather than sitting in traffic looking for violations. So if y'all are interested to take the survey, it's from the CCPSA, and this will help us develop legislation with the CCPSA to better the traffic stop situation. So please take a picture of this, scan this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we have gotten to the end of our discussion aspect. So, as I said earlier, we hold public comment.
Public comment is good.
We go ahead and start our public comment portion. All right, that being said, rules of public comment, please exercise decorum. Realize that we are streaming to Facebook Live, so we want to make certain that young ears don't hear salty words, I guess we should say. But we're going to take about 20 minutes to get through the public comment. We're going to give each speaker about 2 minutes each, and please respect those. And do we have any public comment? Wherever you like, you can stand in front of your chair.
Oh, I didn't know if it was,
No, that's
my
fine.
bad, I got you. Yeah, Alexander Perez, 2nd District, District Counselor. I appreciate being here. I'm just here today to support my colleagues in everything they got going on, but I'm also here, unfortunately, to request that our colleague, David Orlikoff, step down from his position. I don't say this lightly. I do appreciate the work that he's done. I think he's done some amazing work in the community. However, I do have to say, accountability includes all of us. None of us are above accountability, myself included. And we have to hold ourselves accountable. If we don't, then we're no better than the systems that we're trying to dismantle. And so, because of that, I do have to regrettably say that I do think, because of the damage that has been done in the community as a result of our colleagues' behavior, I do think that it warrants healing, and part of that healing is stepping down rightfully and allowing for the process of healing to take shape. I think until that happens, there will be no healing, there will be no growth, and so it's an unfortunate situation. And with a heavy heart, I do say these words, but I do hope that we can move forward with progress and together and continue to build community because that's what's gonna take us forward to the next level. And so with that, I say what I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Bryant.
You said we don't have to stand in front of
No,
us?
you don't have to.
Okay. Anthony Bryant, he, him, his. I am a community member on the south side of Chicago. As of a few days ago, I'm no longer a district council member, but I want to really reiterate those sentiments of that accountability and restorative justice is important to this work. And I think to really achieve and accomplish and be successful in this work, we need folks to really take some time to reflect on their actions and behaviors. And I think the best way that, people can recuse themselves of causing more harm is to have David Olikoff step down from his district council position. So,
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments?
Can't speak off the cuff like my colleagues, but I'm a district counselor from the 17th district as well. But I have a statement that I'll read. So as a neighboring district council representing Chicago's 17th Police District, I feel compelled to address recent events surrounding Congresswoman Orlikoff and his behavior towards the city's residents, and my decision to sign a letter calling for accountability in his resignation from my fellow district councilors. I believe it's crucial to approach such matters through a lens rooted in moral and ethical values, employing a victim-centered approach informed by restorative justice principles and native traditions that I was raised with. Those who came forward with their experiences with patterns of abuse they have experienced from Councilman Orlikoff expressed that taking this action was a necessary one for them. Supporting those individuals that have faced harm aligns deeply with the values I was raised with, which is why I choose to stand with them today. It is now incumbent upon Councilman Orlikoff to step down, as this is not only the call of the broader community, but also the very people who entrusted them with their vote. His actions are inconsistent with the core tenets of accountability, transparency, and justice that these positions were created to uphold. Now it's not the time to deflect or gaslight those advocating for accountability, but time to honor the voices of the people and resign. While I do not represent the 14th district, I share the deep concerns of its residents. Councilman Orlikoff's erratic behavior reflects a troubling pattern of abuse of power by some Chicago politicians, an unacceptable reality that must end. I stand with those calling for his resignation and urge him to listen to the people he was elected to serve. And then an off-the-cuff remark, I similar to Alex, it is really hard to have to read that because I do acknowledge a lot of the work that David has done, and it's been phenomenal work, but that doesn't outweigh the harm he's caused.
Thank you for your comments.
That was very thoughtful.
Do we have any other public comments?
Kayani, member or resident in the 14th district. I've been going to these meetings since the beginning, and I want to stand with everyone who stood here so far to ask David to step down. David has been a fighter and has worked really hard and tirelessly for this district, and at the same time, David has also caused harm, and while in an elected position and claiming to represent the movement. And so, I think David should get help. That's something that I, want to center. And like if David, really cares, then he'll step down and get that help. I also think it's important that he step down because he's caused harm, and the people that he's caused harm to have also asked that he step down. And so, I'm just uniting with everyone here. He's not here, but I think it's important that we all get on public comment to, make it known that we all came here to ask him to step down. So that's all.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comments? Ms. Heyman?
Yeah, Sally Heyman. I worked with David very closely ever since I started coming to these meetings last year, and I have a lot of respect for the work he's done in this district in terms of scheduling speakers, in terms of writing and submitting petitions, in terms of getting out and tabling. He's just done an incredible amount of work, providing us information on when CCPSA meetings are being held, the general meeting, the general council's meetings, other information. I've only experienced the good part of what he's done in these meetings, and I have not seen the negative events that other people have told me about. So I'm very torn, because I don't want to see, there's a big part of me that says I don't want to see him leave this council. I mean, I think, you know, if I'm assuming that all that I've heard about his negative behavior, I can believe that it has happened, and I'm incredibly sad to hear about it. But there's still this part of me, and I've said this to a bunch of people, that I really don't want to see him leave the council. I think he's played an important part here. And I guess I've been thinking about this a lot in the last week, because I knew it was going to be discussed today. I guess I would rather see him get help, as has been suggested, but stay on the board with the understanding that he must improve and stop these attacks apparently on other people. So I feel really, really torn about this. That's my 2 minutes.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Amy. Do we have any other public comments to note? In the back, could you inform me your name?
I'm Nat. I use they and she pronouns. Yeah, I think just based on what I know about David and some of the things that I've heard about him, I don't really know anything about his work other than he is a district counselor. I only know the stuff that he has done to people, and it has been very, like, scary. And yeah, just terrifying. I also want to flag that while taking him out of a position of power is very essential to start healing and start the accountability process, it is like equally as important to make sure that the folks who have experienced not just intimidation but straight up violence are extremely centered and are at the center of any process that is trying to hold them accountable, and that in holding them accountable, there are people around him as he hopefully steps down or whatever this process looks like, that there are people around him, probably straight cis males, right, around him who can make sure he is being held accountable, make sure he's trying to improve, and make sure he's not enacting violence on anyone else, because it can get very dangerous. And that's all I got.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments? Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think that we have a couple
Oh, I'm
of
sorry,
people
right
who
here.
still want to go.
Your name, please?
John
John? That's good.
Harisik, P-A-R-I-C-E-K. Not sure if this is appropriate, but I don't really know David well, but I am a commissioner for the Community Mental Health Center. They offer free care for anyone that lives in Logan Square, Avondale, and Hermosa. Community gets paid for by property tax dollars in those areas, and so it's restricted by who can actually visit the clinic. If you don't belong there, they can guide you to some other types of clinics. But anyway, I just want to put a plug in for the clinic that he could, if it's a situation where he needs counseling of some sort, that might be a place to go. It's free again if you live in the area. I do have some little cards, but I just also want to get the word out about that we do have a mental health clinic for the neighborhood, and again, it's hopefully they will be able to do some good if needed.
Okay, and not to cut you off, we are streaming to Facebook, and a lot of people, could you give us the address, or is that
Sure.
something you couldn't? Okay.
No, it's 3555 West Armitage. And it's officially only been open about 8 weeks now. I've been working on it since 2018, when the neighbors voted to agree to a tax increase. which is only, I pay about $30 a year, and everybody else that is a property owner chimes in, and so that's why it's free, basically, I mean, upfront money, but it's.
And the name of the clinic again?
It's called the LOSA Center. It's Logan S Square Auburndale Hermosa, so LOSAH. There's a website, I think it's the losacenter.org. And I think the card department has a phone number if anybody wants that as well.
Right, thank you for your comments. And I didn't mean to interrupt your public comments there. It's just like I said, we're streaming, and I want to make certain that any resources made available to all of our audience. That's why I asked for you to clarify. All right, do we have any other public comments?
I've got a question. Has David been informed of this, and what is his response? Where do we go from here?
I can speak on that after public comment is kind of read through. Yeah.
Any other public comment? Going once. Oh, Mr. McGill.
District Councilor McGill, Southern Police District. The only reason I actually want to comment is because I can speak firsthand. I'll say this. One, I have had the benefit, and I assume some of the other district councilors have, to actually talk to David about this topic. I told him, as I would say here, right, personal is personal, business is business. I have no personal feelings really about David in any capacity, really. But his behavior over time has become bad for business, right? What's bad for the district councils, what's bad for our standing in the community, what's bad for the work we do with our partners, what's bad for the, God forbid, though it happens all the time, a reporter gets their hands on certain things, or certain incidents, or certain events, then that becomes bad for not just this district, and not just for David, but also for me, also for all the other district councilors. I've had 2 interactions with David, we've talked about these before, that were both volatile. And so when I hear someone say like, his behavior can be scary, I get it. I'm a person, there's no one in the city that scares me. However, being in a situation when someone's like yelling at you, poking you, whatever, and I'm like, oh, okay. If I were not me, if I was smaller, if I were not of my confidence level, I'm a veteran. This could be a very scary situation. And that occurred twice. Once in person, once on a computer, via social media, which actually led me to deleting David from my Facebook. Because the exchange became so vitriolic. I said, look, this is over, right? Because I also, don't want it to escalate. But at that point, talking to other district councilors, I understood that this was happening other places. This was happening with other people who may not have the confidence and security. And I also noticed that David did come to me on both occasions and apologize. But I also have realized that that is not always what he does in these interactions. There are people he's never apologized to. So I get it. He does amazing work, and I also always acknowledge that. I acknowledge that to him. But at a certain point, his behavior has simply become bad for business. I believe he would be an amazing ally to district councilors moving forward if he does receive some kind of restorative help and support, which we could help provide. But the business needs to go, and I think he is a hindrance to that. So I just wanted to put that out.
Thank you for your comments. All right, do we have any other public comments to speak of?
Yeah, public comment.
Remind me your name?
Yeah, hi, my name is Gabe Miller. I recently moved to the 14th district, and I want to also comment on this topic. I want to add my voice to those asking David to step down. I did have the chance to get to know David and work with him from the beginning of his campaign, back when the district council positions had just been formed, and interacted with him through that process, and have seen his commitment to this work. And I think that it is the importance of this work, and also the testimonies of people that have come forward that are so important here. So to start with, the fact that knowing that other members of my district feel unsafe because of him, I think that's the primary thing. They're the ones who have, asked him to step down, as well as all the testimony from other district counselors. So I think it's important to go with what they're asking for. That would make me feel a lot better about, the safety of people that are my neighbors. And the other thing is that the work that we're doing here, trying to hold the police accountable, is too important to it's kind of like what Dion was saying. We can't let things like this derail what we're trying to do. And I think if David wants to keep working for police accountability, this is the right path. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right. Any other public comments?
Yeah, Lupe Quintero, 12th District Counselor. Similar, I've had a lot of interactions with David. Most of them have been fruitful because we've been working on several campaigns together. From contextual stops to, ShotSpotter and other issues across the city. And I don't think that stops us from listening to people and believing people's stories. I think that this office, this position is too fresh to allow us to have these types of mistakes. We look around the city and see the mayor's administration hiding misogyny and other allegations. We see, CPD hiding things of abuse, right? That's what we're created. So we do not need to replicate those systems that we're actively pushing against, like Councilman Perez said. We are in a position where we've been entrusted with accountability, and I think that is super important. I know that a lot similar to David, have a really big presence when I get upset. But I do not take it out on individuals, right? I know that the systems are the things that are at play. I know that there's governing bodies who are pushing us against each other and separating people. So I think that's where my biggest step in this is, because I understand going at ourselves, our commissioners, our counselors, our mayor, our aldermen, our senators, with a certain type of, I'll say, aggression. But when it comes to our community members, when it comes to the people we've been elected to represent, we cannot cross that line.
Thank you for your comments. One more opportunity for public comments. All right, that being said, we'll go ahead and close out public comment. I know that my colleague, Councilor Vargas, wanted to say a few items on that topic.
Sure. Sally asked a good question, if whether Councilman Orlikop was, whether he was, informed about this mass decision on asking for his resignation, and where do we go from here? So I will say yes. It was a very thoughtful process. David has been a great resource to the movement in ways that advocate for pretextual stops to seize. And that's very valuable work. But I was approached by many people about very concerning behavior for over a year. And just most recently, I came to the decision to come to the consensus that it would be better for David to step down. For the same reasons that everybody spoke, we created a letter together and we presented it to David. We let him know that his district council allies signed on to this letter. And we let him know that if he didn't step down, it was an internal letter at first, and we let him know that if he didn't step down, that January 4th there would be a push. And that's kind of like why I guess he didn't show up. Where do we go from here? I think that, where do we go go from here. I have no idea. I think that's kind of for David to kind of speak on his behalf and defend himself and kind of be present. It says a lot that he didn't show up, and this is not to punish David at all. I think this is just this is answering people's concerns of feeling unsafe. And again, we're here for accountability, and we don't want to replicate a harmful system for people. And again, it was really hard to come to this conclusion, but it was a very thoughtful process where I had great allies along the way. Does that answer your question, Sally?
Yeah, pretty, I mean, it kind of, it answers part of my questions, yeah. No, and I do understand why people are pushing on this, I mean, and it does make sense to me. If he doesn't decide to step down though, what happens then? Is there anything in CCPSA? Is there a process to say, we're gonna, I see people shaking their heads, no.
So I'll just answer that briefly. So the only way to remove someone from office is after they have been convicted of a felony. So there's nothing like that at this point.
Okay.
So it's all voluntary, but I think that us allies of David who worked closely with him on many issues across the city will make it known that we stand in solidarity with the community members who feel uncomfortable in his presence, and that we will likely say that, you know, we as district councilors will not work with you on these initiatives going forward, and hopefully that will have some impact on what he chooses to do. But absolutely, we cannot make anything happen. He'll have to decide that.
I will say that there was a lot of restorative justice throughout the year and a half. A lot of district councilors have tried to speak with David about his behavior. We didn't just jump to this conclusion. It was just kind of a needed thing for people at this point. And also, again, we have a mission, and that's for accountability, and David is getting in the way of that mission, of us working with the commission, with other community groups, and we just can't have that. We can't. Our priority is the people, not an individual.
Thank you. And I'm gonna throw in 2 cents here. This might come to a shock to many in the room, but not all. I've addressed this directly at the citywide quarterly meetings and things like that. This particular, and I don't know if there's any new developments that I'm unaware of, but, and upon giving that presentation, first and foremost, I wasn't looking to have him step down from being a counselor. I just wanted to have a check valve in place to where, hey, we can sit there and correct behavior before it spins out of control. And as I mentioned during my presentation to the citywide council, that I think very highly of David, and I know that's gonna blow a lot of people's minds. I think very highly of him. I praised him during my presentation to let him know, hey, look, there's a lot of great things that you do. There's some negative things that we just need to work on so we can get past the trenches here. So yeah, one of the proposals, the annual proposals, was to set up that check valve item that I was talking about, and it was basically steps towards a censure, to where it goes to different levels. The initial pass was to try to get it brought to the commission for them to sit there and have overview of it. And then we were told that that's not gonna happen, that's not in their line of work. I said, okay, well, that means we have to go directly to the OIG. So we tried to set barriers up to where it's like, okay, as it elevates, it goes up to a higher authority. If Council Orlikoff does step down, he'd be highly missed. I think he brings a lot of great value to this. However, I think that maintaining the trust of the people that we serve is paramount. So I know that's a very difficult decision that's gonna lie on his shoulders, And hopefully he has the guidance and the vision to carry him through and do the right thing. All right, that being said,
Any final comments?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
all right, and as we mentioned previously, our next meeting, before we close out, our next meeting is scheduled for the Humboldt Park Library, which is located at 1605 North Troy on February 1st, 2025 at 1 p.m. That we know of, that place is not gonna be available, so, but it's still scheduled to be there. More information forthcoming. We will send that out as soon as we confirm the proper location. All right? That being said, do we have any objection to closing, to adjourn?
No.
Sorry, we
Oh,
don't.
Just give like one final comment on
Yeah.
that.
Certainly, certainly.
Yeah, I just wanna reiterate like how important it is, just because it doesn't seem, to be centered right, enough for, my sake right now. Folks have experienced like physical violence from him outside of DC work, and, calling someone like that to step down and isolate increases the potential for that, among folks in his personal, and I really think it is the responsibility of folks in this room who have relationships with him, again, to make sure that they are checking in on this man, that they are able to hold him accountable personally and past DC work, because again, like this can have very terrible unintended consequences.
Thank you.
One other quick thing about the next meeting place, I think it's really important that we get a spot, where we are gonna be, done early, because if the commander is gonna come, we wanna do a big push on this, and to, do this 2 days before the meeting.
No, I
Which is our
completely,
typical way to announce where meetings are, and agendas will not bring in the community as we need it for this meeting with the counselors. So please, get a new spot quickly, get it out, get this advertised that we're meeting with the commander.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's very paramount that we give as much notice and visibility of what our next steps are, especially if we're gonna have an opportunity to meet with someone that we don't get to see as often as we'd like. But I can assure you, I've got the hardest working person in our staff working on securing that location at the most timely possible date.
Thank you.
All right, any objection to adjourn?
No
All
objection.
right,
Thank you.
without objection, time now is 1:57. We are now adjourned. No, that wasn't. I was thinking, Guy Joe.
Accurate.